Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be. Today, I would like to talk about privilege. There's been a lot of talk these past years about privilege, and I would just like to give my thoughts and opinions on privilege. The main two is white privilege and male privilege, and overall, I'm just going to talk about privilege in general on this first one. But in order to start, there's has to be a definition. There's a lot of different thoughts, a lot of people using this word, but without a good definition, we need to make sure we're using it properly. Google says a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group of people. I think this is pretty good. Merriam Dictionary says a right or benefit that's given to some people and not others. All right, that's pretty decent. When I think of privilege, I usually think of an advantage or that I don't deserve or that isn't earned. A right or privilege or a right or advantage that's not earned. Usually that's what I think of when I think of, the privileged or when we're talking about, white male privilege. All this stuff isn't earned. So I just wanted to add that in there, but I'll try to use the other definitions more in as I talk. There's a whole lot of privileges out there, and I don't even think of or even recognize until we see the opposition of it, and we think, wow, we may have been privileged at this thing without even thinking about it, and that's fine. So when we are born, we're born with a large range of advantages and disadvantages that are unique as we are. At this stage, we've earned nothing, we've done nothing. So privilege is a large part of our lives. Everything we've given that are given to us, all the rights that are given to us, is the privilege. The ironic thing is at this stage, we can't even comprehend the privilege that we have. And many people, since we are so different in that everybody may not have the exact same advantage and disadvantage, many people I've seen on YouTube and out in the media would love to use this as a means of division, of bigotry, and non-understanding amongst ourselves. Yes, we are all different. We get a lot of, but you're not, fill in your word here, female, you're not black, you're not male, okay, as if we wouldn't understand. And since we're all different, no one can actually understand one another. This just sows seeds of division. We need to be more understanding amongst ourselves. This is more important. This doesn't mean we shouldn't embrace our differences. It doesn't mean we shouldn't help each other. It doesn't mean that the privileges are unsurmountable as to understanding each other. That's one of the issues that I have with people using privilege in such an ill manner. Privilege is nothing in of itself, like advantage. It's only anything when we do something or take advantage of it that it becomes anything. Many times when people talk about privilege, they use it to excuse work or merit. We may hear this in many different ways, but you're white, or the privileged kid got into an Ivy League school, making it sound like his dad bought his way in as opposed to the kid's worth ethic. Other things I've heard on YouTube was there is no such thing as meritocracy because you have privilege. All this is baloney. Another I've heard recently is everything white has come from blacks. When you mention something that is white, a white guy's done, it comes back and points out where a black guy has contributed the work. Yes, all the knowledge we have, technology, mathematics, music, and so forth, are all advantages that is given to us, and we're not, and that we haven't earned, that in the days past that they didn't have. These are all privileges that the past didn't have, but this should not take away any credit to the person who've worked hard to move that work forward. Ironically, privilege cannot discredit work because it is only through work that it amounts to anything. There are also those who would like to make it seem like because you're privileged, you're hurting someone or you think you're better than someone. This is only on a relative basis. Like a privileged violinist that their mom gave their child at an early age, as opposed to a violinist that got started later in life. At a recital, a competition, the child that started earlier would have the advantage. And you may easily think that the first child is hurting the second one, but this is false. It wouldn't matter how early or later the first child started. It wouldn't make the second child any better a violinist if the first child started earlier or started later. If cops have a distrust in blacks, having a trust in whites makes no difference on how much the cops distrust the blacks. These two things are mutually exclusive. So we need to just be careful when talking about privilege. The groups with the privilege did not necessarily cause the group without the privilege to be in that position. I was privileged to grow up poor. Growing up poor and having people who loved me, I learned a lot. One important thing I learned was never to compare yourself to others. There will always be someone who's better off than you. Life isn't fair, and you should be grateful for what you have. Gratitude is huge. When I see other people talk about privilege, it's almost in the exact opposite camp of gratitude. You compare yourself to others, then you feel bad about the privilege that you have in life. I don't believe you should feel bad about the advantages nor privileges that has been given to you. Some of those privileges that were given to you by people who want you to have a better life than them because they love you. Privilege is a good thing, and you should not feel bad about it. So there are some out there that want you to feel guilty. They want you to feel guilty so you will do what they tell you to do. They want you to believe in order to atone for your advantages, you need to follow their dogma. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Usually when people see what they have and what they have been given, they feel thankful. With this abundance they have because of the privilege that has been given them, they want to give back to others. And this is good. Yes, of course we should give and help once we see what we have, but that's up to the individual. It's absolutely wrong to use guilt to try to twist other people's behavior into their dogma. Alright, so in closing, I just want to say, yes, we should recognize the things that we have been given that we have not necessarily earned or other people have. We should feel grateful for these things, and we should give back to those who may not necessarily have it. I'm not going to tell you how, you should give back this privilege. You know best. It could be many different things. Maybe it's just living a good life so that the next guy that comes around won't have to face the same prejudices that you have. Treating people equally. That type of thing. But it's all up to you individually. You know best how to pass along your privilege. And I'd just like to say thank you, and treat others fairly, and have a good night, or day, or evening.